Welcome back from that break, and it is GMU Agenda, where we look at an issue of national concern. Today we are going to be looking at the influence of youth on the political and economic stability of East Africa. When you look at youth, Africa is one of the continents with the biggest population of youth, that is globally. However, have these youth been of value to their countries, to the continent, and of course their regions? Within the studios is the Peace Ambassador, that is Milton Kambura. Milton.
Good morning, brother.
Good morning to you.
Thank you, bro.
How
You're
are
very
you?
smart. Thank you.
You're equally smart.
Oh, thank you.
I love your tie.
Oh, thank you.
How have you been?
Quite okay. We are very happy. Great things are happening in the country, in East Africa. And it is raining. God has blessed us with rains again. I know by December this time, our people will not be hungry and angry.
Extremely, because it's how they make use of the rain.
Yes, yes.
When you traverse this country, are you seeing people investing so much in agriculture?
I think the biggest problem is water harvest. I think this goes to the viewers today. We have to learn how to harvest this water. Then during the time of drought, we are able to use this water that we saved in drums under the ground, so that we can actually irrigate our crops, because now agriculture is no longer seasonal. So the global warming has changed the weather patterns. So now I think what I'm advising my friends in Soroti, my friends, I greet you, people in Mbale, Kasese, Barara, we in Masaka last week. Next week will be that side of Gulu, Karamoja, Rua. So my friends and our structures, please focus on how we can really survive beyond this traditional farming method
of rainfall-fed agriculture.
You know.
Felix, we are going to be looking at the influence of youth, that is on the political and economic stability of the continent, but also here today we are focusing so much on East Africa. First and foremost, Felix, there is a saying that the youth are the future leaders of tomorrow. Do you agree to that?
You see, leadership cannot be kept into a particular confine. When you look at countries like the USA today, look at the most vivid political stance rivals, likes of Joe Biden, even Trump himself, the late Mark. So it's nonsense. That's just a fallacy, if I may say. It's just something that people, what we call, massages the ego of youth. It is to massage their ego that we can be great, which is a good thing. But as a matter of fact, I think leadership is something, one, you must come to the table and have evidence. You understand? No wonder some countries have stuck with people who are quite in a higher bracket of age. So it's not about being a youth or middle-aged or what. I think it's about coming to the table and showing the worthiness. Because it is useless for you to sing in the norms of youth, we are tomorrow's, and there's no evidence to the same. You understand? Because what evidence am I talking about? How responsive are you, for example, to work? What is the value you add to national building? Do you have anything you're bringing to the table? Are you a dependent? Are you a giver? All these arguments will come into play. I think that's and that is where we have gotten everything wrong, by making the youth think that they are everything for a nation.
Okay. Milton,
yes,
looking at the youth, we begin by politically. How have they contributed to the development of their countries? Youth in Uganda, let's come back home. Have they positioned themselves, or have they had the opportunity really to give what they should give to this nation?
Thank you once again, UBC. Thank you. By the way, you have the best quality output of a television, and I thank you for this. The changes happening here. We thank the leaders. There are a lot of transformation, and I know the viewers. Please, I request you to support our UBC platforms. Two is that right now in the whole world, Uganda is a country with the second, the most youthful nation. What I mean with a country with a high growing youthful population. We are talking about a demographic dividend of more than 16 million young people. I am telling you right now, our greatest resource, our greatest wealth are the young people. When we are talking about where you are looking at more than 68% being the young people, I tell you, the viewers today, the mother seated in her sitting room, the father seated somewhere, and the policy makers, only when we concentrate on these younger people, now that we can actually realize our economic and political stability. Because they are energetic, you know, they are curious to learn, they are creative, they can innovate technologies, they can actually work day and night, you can imagine. I'm talking about young people who actually present the hope of our country. Not only Uganda, but I'm talking about the entire continent of Africa. But the unfortunate thing is that while we discuss the policy makers, the people who make things happen, when they are on that round table to plan for the future of the country, young people are always they are there at the last
at the extreme
end. Just of course as women, because the women today are the foundation of stability. But when we are discussing, you find others, they are discussing other things, how much, you know, these international, we are in the space there. We forget that the Bugaga we are looking for, Bugaga is actually under our seats.
Kambra, when you talk about the statistics, these are good figures. And, you know, the hope, it seems very obvious. But we've not seen the youth where they should be.
Yes. And I guarantee you, my brother...
Why aren't they where they should be? I think this is something that we should begin with, because we must accept, and I think also Felix agrees to this, that the pride we have as Uganda, as Africa, having the youngest population in the world, we've not seen the value of the gold we hold. Many of these youth are dependents.
What is there to be proud about having
they become independent, maybe at the age of 35 as they're approaching 40. Now, even leaving the age bracket of being youth.
The issue is, when you have seen the transformation, vividly I will use an example. 8 years ago, Uganda's economic growth was at 4.8%. Right now, we are at 6.3%. One of the fastest growing economies in the continent of Africa. Now, there is also a connection of the youth growth rate, also connecting it to that rapid economic stability of Uganda. So when you get these two, they call them the two coordinates, one is actually supporting the other. Even though, based on our foundation, now that we have invested more than 4 trillions in infrastructure development, we are talking about 3.3 trillions in education. We are talking about, you know, the budget increments in those critical areas which actually influence the quality production of young people. So if we have the right education, for example, it will help us now improve on the quality and the productivity of the young people.
The question would be,
yes,
are we moving in the right direction? For example, let's look at the government programs.
Yes.
You have youth livelihood.
Yes.
You've had skilling the girl child.
Yes,
you have wealth creation, also a big target the youth, because these are energetic people.
Yes.
But all these approaches, the youth seem not to have been the beneficiaries. You know, we don't see so much of something to pride in that we've seen the transformation of our youth through these government initiatives.
Let me just say something about what my brother Milton has just submitted. I do acknowledge the fact that youth are Ugandans. Okay, it's a good thing. Nevertheless, I never find the reason as to why it should be something to pride about as a country, first and foremost. If such a number of people in a country cannot even contribute to the budget, even 5%, that humongous number of youth don't contribute 5% to the national budget. First and foremost. Secondly, if the country probably the government, if I must say, has not planned to tap into the opportunities and the potential of these so-called humongous numbers that we are priding about. Okay? If the government and the state, for that matter, has failed to prepare them, even for tomorrow, by the way, because you may not tap into them now, and you say, okay, probably in the next 10 years they will be useful. Why do I say this? Look at the academic system in this country that has continuously delivered, thrown out only theoretical, unemployable people who are loitering around this Kampala. No wonder people with degrees have started innovating work for themselves. That's why you see an influx in borders, a lot of boutiques, because the youth have realized that their education is not useful. So they have gone back to innovation. For the few who can farm, have gone back to villages. So you're not preparing a youthful cluster of your people into even for tomorrow.
I think that's
purpose.
what I want Milton to take us through. Let's try to look into some of these initiatives, because our government almost every time comes up with the new initiatives. Now when you look at the education system that my colleague is talking about, we've seen so much of now going practical, skilling, more vocational institutions being brought out, and government at least injecting money to see that these things work. But Milton, are we doing it the right way?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Robert. I like this is a hot debate, and that's what I love. What is happening right now? Any country intending to actually benefit from its wealth of young people, this is like a well, an oil well of younger people. The first thing is making sure that we retool them, because these millions of young people who we say they are not employed.
That is what I've asked.
That is, I mean, 70% of our young people not employed. That's cancer. That is insecurity in itself. We no longer talk about Kony, Bin Laden, those ones, they are already smashed out. The greatest insecurity right now are these young people who don't have jobs.
That is why we go to the government programs.
Yes.
Are they tailor-made to suit the crop?
Yes, but you see, no government in the whole world can work to transform its education alone, just as they work towards youth employability. That is why what I'm going to share with you is that the private sector, unless you have a vibrant private sector, which can supply enough jobs to the young people, that is one. We needed to support the private sector so that they have capacity to consume these increasing numbers of young people graduating. But that is number one. The second one.
Milton, we must also importantly note that there must be a conducive environment for the private sector to thrive. And government's role, we cannot eliminate it to cater so much and point at the private sector. He talked about the education system. The private sector, you'll have these investors coming on board, but what are you giving them? They are bringing expatriates because the people you're bringing lack integrity, lack skills. They are not into the education sector. But I just also have to remind our caller that a few minutes from now, you'll be able to call in and be part of this discussion. The number is 0702 23 24 25, and it is on your screen. Yes, Milton.
Yes, the issue is that one of the ways to support the private sector, because there is no government that actually gives jobs. Ugandans need to know, even Trump said it actually last week. Those of you who expect the United States government to provide jobs for young people, that was yesterday. What we should do as a government is to provide an enabling space, an environment for private sector to thrive, so that direct foreign investment increases our capacity to actually manufacture, industrialize, tap our minerals and other resources. But the problem is the quality of our education. Yes, everyone has been talking about that. I think I'll avoid it because of the time. But the moment the private sector is fed with the right human resource, I mean children or youth who are able to demonstrate the 21st century competencies and skills. For example, you talked about communication skills, problem solving skills, innovative skills, leadership skills, digital literacy. You know, we are in the 4th industrial revolution. So the moment we work, the government, this time we are not talking about a teacher. You know, in this country, everyone who has gone to actually achieve his or her degree in education is called a teacher. In my own context, in my book actually, I've just released a new book. This book in this book I've tried to explain to Africa that, hey, not everyone who goes to school and attain a degree in education is a teacher. We must establish what we call the National Education Management Council, which actually retools teachers, assesses teachers, and even educate teachers to become mentors beyond teaching.
That is already provided for in the new education policy.
Yes.
That is something that government is working upon. Yes, Felix, you had something to say.
Let me just say something. You see, all these things are good. But I think as a country, we must get in a position where we must face the ugly and the bitter truth. All right? We have a leadership crisis, and that is a matter of fact. How wrong is it? We're talking about the youth and their space. We as a country, since time immemorial, have been known for agriculture. How many of our children of this population they brag about, the 70%, are into agriculture? Have learnt agriculture? How many of them, okay, are even agents? If they're not farming, are they selling the products?
They're in export business.
Exactly. How can you tell me in a country like Uganda that has the best land for farming in Africa, you don't have agriculture as a subject in primary? It is an optional in secondary. But it is a must for you to learn English, by the way. It is a compulsory subject. No, you don't. So we are misplacing ourselves. This should be the discussion. You're going to put all this operation wealth creation and give people hens, pigs, rabbits. Let me tell you, you're giving someone a rabbit, they don't even know the type of rabbit, whether it is a chinchilla rabbit or
New Zealand white.
So it doesn't make sense.
Kambura, yes, I want you to let Felix complete it.
Let me just complete this.
Kambura's reaction.
We are talking about empowering the youth. We are empowering the youth not in tandem with what they're able to do. You understand? If you give someone chicken, because it is what the operation is giving, how is that helpful?
But these are demand-driven. These are demand-driven.
You see, this is the question. We cannot be spontaneous actors. We must set a vision as a country. You see, we cannot, if every time and this is where we make the mistake, and mostly as government, that we want to remedy moments, want to deal with the mischief. Because now youth are over being in politics and riots. Okay, let us do this. If we start dealing with symptoms, the problem, we must share a vision and say, in the next 15 years, how we, because education is a progressive. Put into primary, someone appreciate that even when someone stops in primary 7, they are able to contribute to the national GDP. I have told you, as a matter of fact, the youth in Uganda today, they don't even contribute 5% national budget. No wonder the Mamuzeis have to stay because they feed the nation. Lastly, Robert,
Felix, be a bit brief, Felix.
Okay, just lastly, how many people who are between the age, let's say 18 and 35, who have businesses in this country that they can pay taxes annually of probably 100 million?
Definitely, it could be very, very few.
So are they even useful to the country?
Milton.
Felix is talking the same language. We're on the same page. Just as we are emphasizing that you cannot teach, for example, agriculture just in the classroom all days, every month. So we got to transform education, because at the top level is what we see at the top is from down. So how is the teacher teaching agriculture? When he's teaching, for example, mulching, is he teaching mulching in the classroom? So time has reached when we have to transform our education to become Pan-African educational model, which is looking at nurturing this child so that he can become self-reliant, so that he can become productive to help the private sector thrive in Africa, in Uganda particularly. The last point on education is that we need a new teacher, because the teacher is the master, is the game changer. So the moment you have a teacher who is not exposed to these best practices, how to transform the classroom
How
setting.
do we get this teacher? Because more so many times we've talked in future, we need. But how do we get this teacher? Let's look at, in your knowledge, Kambura, have we seen government interventions moving towards that? Are we in sync with the desired Uganda we want?
They talk about it. The issue is they talk about it. But when you move the whole country, other than Kampala here, where the private sector is owning schools and we are going into these schools, but some of us who are in the rural settings, nothing's going on in terms of relevancy on how to transform the education. The retooling of teachers, we didn't see that budget. Mama Janet Museveni, you need this budget to retool all teachers in the country, to make sure we have best practices that can be introduced in the schools, so that in the afternoon, all schools in Uganda are focusing on how children can manufacture, can work in the subjects, can be able to be mentored in different 21st century competencies. But Felix talked about certain important aspects. Young people are the hope of change in Uganda and in the continent, just like any other country. But the issue is, what investments are we putting in the young people? Are we just situational, like my brother said, when they are rioting, then we say, what can we give them? Then we throw to them, then we've just thrown them. We got to now have experts in government who are programmatic, who understand things like logical model development, whereby you know the outcomes, the inputs, the outputs, the activities, so that you are not driven by problems, by a riot in Makerere. For example, you say, but
Kambura, I think you're missing one good point, which is very, very important. That, in my opinion, I don't think that government is not doing what they should be doing.
They are doing right.
I want to believe that, one, the method they are using could be wrong. How do you correct the method? Then second, greed, corruption,
yes,
is a challenge that if you have to look at the youth in Uganda, that is the biggest problem. But when you talk about some of these projects, some of these interventions that government comes up with, if there isn't theft of funds,
yes,
if there isn't lack of monitoring and accountability,
yes,
maybe a Ugandan youth would be a mile away from where they are today.
But the issue is beyond that. The issue is that government has helped a lot to put up these systems. But you know, you can't give what you don't have. Look at our economy. How much money do we have to construct roads, to solve all the problems we are talking about?
Well, I have to remind
the younger people
just a minute,
need to create wealth.
Let me first remind our viewers that our lines are now open. You can call in and be part of the show. I don't know if Felix agrees that we don't have money in Uganda.
No, let me just say this, my brother.
And
by the way, we don't need money. And this is where we get it wrong.
Well, just a minute, I'll be getting back to you, Felix. I have a caller online. Let's first respond to our caller. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning, UBC.
Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
This is Jafet calling from Chiboga.
Yes, Jafet.
Yes, I'm among the youth. But I've analyzed some good problems, and I have 3 of them here.
Okay, thank you. Let's have
one is awareness of the youth and the willingness to utilize the resources within them and in their surroundings. The youth who do not want to use the chunks of land that are available for us, but who want to sell them and go to Kampala to sell Guinness. You imagine. If you sell Guinness, how can you raise $1 million of money? Yet with your chunks of land, you can raise $1 million within one season. Another problem comes, and is the youth's willingness to touch to the ground or to bend down and pick what they want. You find that we want to only use a pen, we think we are wise, we think we've gone to school. Yet what we want is down. People who do jobs are getting money, and youth are not willing to do that so-called dirty job to get the money. The last problem is poor government approach to tackle the problem. The government has pumped money to the youth in different categories, as they call them, but they have not taught the youth how to work for money or how to get the money. So what we need is to teach the youth how to make money, not giving them money.
Thank you so much.
If you give someone 100 million today and you not tell him what to do,
thank you so much.
Automatically the following day will do nothing. Thank you very much.
Thank you for always watching UBC TV and calling in Jeffat from Chiboga there. We appreciate you're always with us and you always try to call in. Well, let me pick another caller. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Your name and where you're calling from?
I'm calling from Kasandi. This is Mlambe William.
This is?
William.
Mlambe William.
Okay, William. Go ahead. Hello, William, I'm getting you. Oh, sorry, I've lost you, but you can try. You never know. You could go through. Of course, our lines are busy, but keep trying until you go through. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. You're speaking to Livingston Amugiziwe, and I am the district councillor from Kagadi.
You are district councillor from Kagadi?
District.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
I want to appreciate all our panelists and you, our moderator.
Yes.
First of all, we've seen government programs in terms of youth livelihood program to help equip the youth with the startup funds to begin businesses. But then government forgot that the environment within which these youth are working in. For example, if you gave 15 million to 15 youth to begin a business, these youth, first of all, they are not skilled. They have not come out to skill them on which kind of business to do, because they just come out to apply. They give them funds. They don't come out to guide them or provide them with the necessary skills to run such kind of businesses. Me, I sit on a committee called Community and Security, where the youth livelihood fund, the web funds for women come. But then you'll find that these youth, the youth will form a group, come out from the blue, and say, now we are going to begin a shop. None of them has experience in issues related to beginning a small shop. You understand? So
Yes.
you'll have to realize that when they begin that business, it will not prosper because they do not have the necessary skills, the necessary requirements to begin that business. In 2016, the NRM government, in its manifesto, it said it was going to construct a technical institute for constituency, which would help these youth. In my understanding, the government would have equipped these youth with the skills, these hands-on. It then provided them with the funds. You understand? To start up such kind of business where they are well equipped. Then, when it comes to politics, you'll find that because of recent Parliament wanted to pass a resolution that for one to stand as a member of Parliament, you have to have 20 million. How will a senior six leaver get 20 million? Because as per the Constitution, you're supposed to be a senior six leaver in order to contest for MPship. So how will these youth engage into politics?
Okay.
When such funds arise and they cannot be in position to raise them. So you have to find that youth in politics,
In a minute,
they are restricted. They will not come out to participate because financially they are not. Politics has been commercialized.
Well,
you
thank
understand?
you so
So
much.
now,
You've gotten your point.
should look into this.
You've gotten your point. Thank
That
you
the
so
youth
much,
must be empowered. For example, if you came out to begin a business now, look at the taxes. The taxes itself, they are so exorbitant.
Well, thank you so much. We've gotten your points there. You talked about, first and foremost, the training. That you just don't give people money when they've not had the right training. And also the political bit of it where you say 20 million a proposal. How will a youth that is just compared to senior six then engage in politics? Let me pick also this other caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Your name and where you're calling from?
Moses Kaziwa, I'm calling from Greg Makawa.
Yes, Moses Kaziwa.
First of all, it's not only the youth who ended in the senior six or who ended in senior six.
But today we are
You have those
handling
ones
youth.
who are not youth and their qualification is senior six. And who tells you that because you ended in senior six and you were youth, you have to go into politics? We need a culture Even if when you are not a youth, why should you be, even a vote, be elected as an MP? You don't have a hen, maybe a goat, maybe a cow. You don't have even a plant of cassava. What are you going to show your people to develop? You are in a rural area. So we need to have good policies. So I am appealing to Ugandans. Never give someone your vote in these rural areas who is not a farmer. Let him be a farmer bearing one cow, bearing one chicken, having 2 plants of cassava or bananas. Because how is he going to mentor you? All of us, are we going to be eating in politics all the time?
Definitely.
Answer is no. Another thing, youth, they make proposals before they are given money. And they are saying time before they are given money.
Okay,
But
yes,
the
Moses,
problem
as you wind
is,
up,
if you make, you make a group, they make a group with different intentions. That is why they don't prosper when they are given money, they eat money. But my proposal is, the best thing the government should do to zone the country. And they make factories. Let this youth be employed there instead of giving money that they have begun their group.
Okay, thank
and
you,
this money is supposed to
Moses,
be
from
given
Mbuya
those
there.
who
You've
have
talked
done
about
well
zoning
doing.
the country and provide and
But
ensuring that the youth do not leave their areas, but also development can find them there, government programs, various government programs. He also talked about, then, if 20 million is a problem, why should people come into leadership when actually they literally have nothing to show? So does it mean that we should appoint people because what are they going to maintain? What are they going to give? Hello, good morning. Your name? Hello, caller. Hello. You're live on UBC TV. Give me your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, morning.
Morning to you.
Yes, morning.
Please, can you be a bit more audible?
Yes, Yes, morning.
Morning to you.
You see,
Your name and
my name is Dan.
Dan, yes, Dan.
My name is Dan, calling from Mango.
Dan from Mango. Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, Dan from Mango. I'm getting you.
Yeah. You see, our major problem is that these old leaders, they fight youth. Meaning that if you are starting to advise them, they say you are still young. They can't believe that a young can be with some idea. That's all. Another one.
Okay.
These leaders, they have, which I can call a poor economic plan and corruption. Why? If you want to develop these youth, you have to feed them in these big offices. You have to give them chance to enter in the system, to be in the system, so that they can learn how to make money. You can't give them money from anywhere. They will not know how to manage that money because they have got money from nowhere. They don't know how to make money. Okay. You have to teach them first, then you give them capital.
Thank you, Dan. You talked
but
about...
how can you say, I'll give them 100 million without teaching them? They will go in these clubs, happy boys.
Okay. Finally, Dan. Okay, thank you so much. You talked about the challenge of giving them money that they have not been trained how to use. Of course, the elderly fighting the youth, That is one of the issues you also pointed out, that they don't want to take advice from the youth. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
What is you?
Your name and where you're calling from?
Moses calling from Chira.
Moses calling from? Chira.
From Chira.
Yes, go ahead.
And I wanted to submit my opinion
Yes.
on this topic.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
Hello.
I'm getting you. Just give us your opinion.
Yes. My view is. My view is.
Yes.
Are you getting me?
I'm getting you very loud and clear.
Hello.
I'm getting you. Just go ahead.
I was saying. The government of recent has come into like form groups. You get it,
Yes. I get what you're telling me. Please go ahead. I'm getting you. Okay, Moses from Kira, thank you for calling, but I wasn't able to get so much. Let me pick my final caller. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Oh,
Good morning.
morning to you.
Your name and where you're calling from?
I'm calling from Cairo.
From Kaliro, yes?
Now, about that issue,
But I didn't get your name.
I would be
I'm kind of losing you. Please be more audible.
Hello?
Gentleman from Kaliro, I didn't get your name, but please give me your name and go ahead.
My name is Rafa Gerard.
Okay, Gerard, go ahead.
Now, I was going to talk about the issue of the program.
Talk about the government program.
The government should try to find the way it is handled.
Okay.
Hello?
I'm getting you. When I keep quiet, I want to hear from you. So please go ahead. Gerard from Kaliro, you were talking about government programs, but I think I lost you. And I'll hold it at that, and I want to get Kambura respond to some of these.
I know Mr. Felix is ready with a lot of. But our viewers, thank you so much. And what you hear from them, they are also innovative solutions. Everyone wants to contribute. But I want to also use this opportunity to actually tell Ugandans that the youth can influence almost everything in this country, given the right mindset and attitude. That's where to begin.
Okay,
That's
let's
why-
begin with Jaffat.
Yes.
That is Jaffat from Chiboga. He said the youth lack awareness. That is why you see a youth would sell a plot of land or acres of land, then come to Kampala to sell groundnuts.
Exactly. That's where it begins. They do. Someone has not told them. They don't have a vision. They don't see their value. That, hey, I can be a billionaire in the next 5 years. They don't. Someone is not mentoring them. They don't know. They don't have a saving culture, for example. They don't know how to begin businesses. They don't know how to manage. If they began a business, they don't know how to manage it and even sustain it. So in my view, other than giving these people resources at the first sight, I think we should now put up what we call incubation centers in the villages. That is what South Korea did. That's what Malaysia did and China did. So that young people are able, in their local setting.
There's a model you're copying here. Is it that Sha?
It is called the Leadership and Entrepreneurship Hub. These hubs help young people to innovate, to be mentored within the hubs.
But you see,
It's a Shanghai model. Is it?
let me tell you something.
No, it worked. It worked for China. And everything we have is from that model. All these phones, everything we have. It is the young people, those hubs, that provide these things to a certain big company in the capital city. But the young people go back in their local setting. So that is what we should do. The second thing is, I think we got to really work with schools like Makerere University Business School. It would be good if all these skilling things and what, we work with the already established institutions in our local setting. Makerere University Business School is there, lecturers are there. It is all about saying in the holidays, all younger people, we should go to MUBS. MUBS has centers in all this country. Makerere University also has. And these young people would actually come to a classroom, be taught how to manage a business, boko keeping, you know, all these things. Other than giving a young man 20 millions, the second thing he will do is to go and marry the third wife, the fifth wife. Money that he...
Let's go to William. And
William, yes.
William, sorry, we lost you. We didn't get your question.
Yes.
But we had the district councillor, that is Kagadi, who talked about, first and foremost, the youth lack training. You give them money without training, and also brought out the issue of now when you go to the political element of the youth developing this region, if you come up with a proposal of the monies you demand for an election, these youth don't have this money. I want you to combine those two.
Let me just say something, Robert, and from the previous statement. You see, our first contact is Japheth. We must understand that everything, and the hubs that my brother is talking about, are only a result of a shared vision.
Yes.
The countries that were able to shift because of these, like China, Malaysia, Singapore, just to mention about a few, had a shared vision. They saw, the leaders saw the country in a particular place.
Yes.
We don't have that here.
Yeah.
We don't have that here. Our leaders don't share a vision.
Yes.
No wonder we have today people power springing up. If this is fighting this policy, we have individual visions. If even only the opposition has failed to have a shared vision to take power, we don't have. Not until we establish a shared vision as a country, we can build that. Secondly, just about what you said, Robert, about leadership, politics. Let me tell you, politics is one of the worst things that can happen to an economy. And I can repeat that. You go and read, for all the countries that chose politicking over economics, they have lost themselves. No wonder countries had to fight. Colonialism was political. That's why countries talk about independence. Independence was a rebirth from politics that was not known. Now, if you have politics that you know, that should trigger economics. So, for me, I think youth, you see, the youth, for example, you have youth leaders in parliament. Have you ever even had any of them yawn?
Well, Felix, I have to respond to many of our callers. The councillor from Kagadi.
Yes, that brother of ours from Kagadi, just as Kagadi is very rich, fertile soils, but you go there, they don't have food. You find a school of 3,000 children. They're in a school, they have 40 and 80 acres of land in the neighborhood, but they don't have food.
To bring food for
those are examples to tell you that Ugandans don't know how to tap and utilize the resources God has already given them.
Porridge can't be a problem in
So that is where it begins. So as he has said, a national vision. Unless I think we need to uproot some of these people, because leadership influences the change we want.
Definitely.
So when you have certain people who are dormant in big offices, you are seated on resources. The country gets stuck because you have
when we talk of the youth Kambura, we have Moses. No, this is Dan from Mengo, who said, but the youth are being fought. Their ideas, they are not welcome to the table to debate. I want to respond to
Robert, I want you to know this. World Health Organization produced a research, actually 3 years ago, telling us that young people are curious to learn. They are innovative. They are innovative.
Have you given them the space?
Exactly. So as we grow older, our creativity lowers down. So what I'm talking to this country right now with passion is that we have to run very fast and start tapping every gift that God has given young people. It is through which that when we empower them, we mentor them, we build their capacity, then tourism can increase. When economic and peace can be achieved, economic progress can be achieved, stability of the country can be established. That's why the president, many people don't know what he's doing right now, but he knows that the future of the country is in the young people. And when he gets experts like us, we will be able to now go community-driven development model, because it is where the power of the country is, where industries need to go to the villages, where all of these things you're talking about, because the capacity of the urbanization, it comes from the village.
I want to go to Moses Kaziba, who talked about the youth. Are they prepared that very much in this area?
They are not prepared.
He talked about the challenge, the money, the political
they are not
money,
prepared.
These limitations.
You see, right now, every young person is saying, how can I be young like me here? I have the legs, I have the eyes, I am energetic, I am healthy, and you say, I have no job. How? It is a mindset thing. Because God has given you energy. Just look for problems of communities, solve them, get employed. The problems that Uganda have must employ us. That's where it begins. Young people's role is to solve all problems of Uganda. But the system is, leaders are telling us, sit down. The young people must work. The young people must produce. And so by producing, by inventing, by manufacturing, then the young people will become billionaires. But the problem is, that a younger person should not be rich. That mentality, can you imagine? If I can't be rich right now, you man, you are looking at this television. If I can't be rich right now when I'm still young, you want me to be rich when I'm 70 years, when I have no energy, when I cannot think? Our resource, young people, should be positioned in the military, should be in public service, 70% everywhere.
Well, Kambura, I have to cut you short
country.
in the interest of time.
Yes.
As we wind up, Felix, I want to get your final remarks in regards the youth and national development.
I think Uganda are one of, the youth are one of the biggest potentials that the country has. Potentials. For now, they are potential. You know, as you look at a woman and say, I may, it is a prospect. It's one of the areas that the government should interest themselves to prospect. All these assertions, the wealth creation, the whatever they are trying to do, let us rethink the mode. Let us shift the aspect of cadreism from these projects.
Yes.
Let them be shared values, shared interests for all the people in Uganda. Let me tell you, you cannot have a rich cadre and a poor. The one is going to be a problem to the other. The one that we are having, we're looking at some people against the others. We don't have shared wealth in this country. That's why this gap is creating the haves and the have-nots. Let us create a system where the youth are equally dealt with. Lastly, let me say this lastly, Robert. The youth out there, you must come to the table. No one is going to invite you.
Yes.
You must take up your mantle, pick up yourselves, and be relevant.
Thank you, Felix. Take up the mantle, pick up yourselves, and be relevant. In a minute, Kambura.
In a minute,
as we wind up.
What I'm smiling, and I know sometimes I can really, what I'm just asking the young people, as my brother Felix has said, no one is going to look for you. No, 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 no. Stand up today. You don't have a job, but God has given you a life. Use the opportunities you have. You yourself, you are an opportunity to yourself. You are the number one. Stand up in the morning, look for a problem to solve in your community. If they don't have water, start giving them water. They will pay, make money. If the business is not moving, develop a mobile app. They will buy. You will get money. Use every opportunity to be on the table, and the world sees what God has given
thank you,
so that you're a billionaire right now.
Use every opportunity to become a billionaire. Look for your space. Look for your space, other youth, and of course government. Please, let's come up with policies that are all inclusive and a shared vision. Our challenges, methodology remains a problem, and transparency plus accountability. And unless we wake up one day and hold people accountable for the funds they swindle
Young people should not
into government programs, then it will be hard for us to achieve this vision. I just want to wish you a lovely day. I now leave you with a quote of the day, and Ruben is very ready to give you all the sports updates. Good morning and God bless you.